I'm going to do one clap. Oops.
Welcome to One Spark Ministries. I'm Chandalyn,
I'm Jay.
and we got married 30 days after knowing each other because God told us to. We're sharing one microphone, one singular microphone, because we don't got another one. We don't have one. So you might ask yourself, why would they get married a month after knowing each other? And I think it's because like a lot of crazy stuff happened. So where'd we meet?
We met at a meeting.
Yeah, so we met at a recovery meeting, and what was interesting is before this meeting, I hadn't been going to meetings. I think I had only ever been to like 4 in my life or something like that. And it's interesting because I worked in addiction treatment for years, but just meetings weren't my thing. And I ended up needing a carpet installed in my daughter's room. And so my mom put out a Facebook post, and an old friend of mine from like 10 years prior ended up responding to the Facebook post saying he could do the carpet. So I called him. Turns out that he had been in recovery for many years. And I was like, well, dude, if you're living near the area, let's go to a meeting tonight. And it was all an act of God because that happened to be the meeting that we met at. So had you been going to meetings at all?
Yeah, I was going to meetings. I was hanging out with my sponsor, and I was very adamant about my recovery at the time. And in walks Shanda, and I had never seen her at a meeting before. I would have known. First thing I thought when I saw Shanda was she's not from around here. She looked completely different from anyone that was in the area. And I thought, for some reason, the first thing that popped in my head was that she was a Russian. And then I saw who she came in with and everything, and they were together, and he was a little bit older. I didn't know that they were just friends or anything, but I thought, okay, Russian, male or bride, gotta be. So that was my first thought of Shanda when I saw her.
Well, what's interesting is I ended up sitting behind Jay. I didn't, notice anybody in particular because I was just paying attention to my friend that I went there with. But I sat behind him, and in the meeting, he had shared that he had been to rehab 3 times that year. And I remember I was like I felt really bad for this guy. I started feeling a lot of sympathy, and all of a sudden, God starts talking to me. He says, go up and tell him that just because he had failed those times before didn't mean that he was going to fail this time. And the first time he told me to say it, I'm like, no, I'm not going to say that. That's weird. I was really, really socially awkward at that point, like did not enjoy talking to people or anything like that. Jay, when he met me, he knows it was pulling teeth to get me to do that. Yeah. But God said it the first time. And I'm like, I mean, yeah, I feel bad for this guy, but I'm not saying that. And then he said the second time, go up and tell him that message. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that. And the meeting keeps going on. And then he pressed it the third time. And he said it so sternly, go up and tell him what I said. So the meeting ended, and I'm like, oh, gosh. So I can't remember. Did I just like beeline straight to you?
Yeah, you walked right towards me. So when I first saw Shanda, obviously I thought she was beautiful when I first saw her. But then my focus immediately went right to the meeting and what was being said, and I shared in the meeting. Like I said, my recovery was the most important thing to me at the time. So after I saw her in the initial, like right when she walked in, I kind of just shifted my focus, and I wasn't really thinking about Shanda, throughout the meeting. And then once the meeting was over, I turned around and she came like right up to me, and I don't know what she said to me. It took me a while to or for her to repeat what she said, and I still didn't get it because I was not listening to a word she was saying. I was just staring at Shanda, and that was kind of crazy.
That's so funny. Was it that night that you went home and told your friend about me? Because like,
I don't know if I told. No, it was
the second time.
I think the second time, or maybe it was the first time. Yeah, I think I did tell. Yeah. Oh yeah, because you came up and talked to me, and I took that as she was completely into me. Obviously, why would she come up and just talk to me? So I told my friend of mine. I was like, yeah, I saw this girl at the meeting, and I don't know. She came up and talked to me right afterwards, so she's obviously into me.
Well, after that, a little time went on, and I didn't recall any meeting him or anything like that. Because when I get messages for people that I know are from God, it's almost like I don't view them as. I don't know how to explain it. I only view them as this is a soul that's in need of a message. So like. I couldn't to this day remember what his face looked like the first time I met him at all, because it's like his all of his physical traits went away in that moment, and I don't know how to describe it. I still don't remember how you looked the first time I met you. So then that just went out of my mind. I gave the message and that was complete. Well, then ended up going to a second meeting because I was like, well, I guess this was kind of good going to a meeting. Maybe I'll get into this, because I was more newly sober, and I was trying to do stuff that would actually work to keep me sober, because I had struggled so much with alcohol in the past. So I went to another meeting in a different location,
Hmm.
and he was there. I don't remember seeing you in the meeting until after. Did you?
You
But
should.
you,
You showed up late, and a little bit late, not real late, but as soon as you walked in, I knew why you were there. You were there for me, and so I, at my buddy, I was like, "Look," I was like, "He's here," and she went over and sat down and pretended like she was listening to the message, but she was really just trying to look at me the whole
oh
time.
my gosh, you really thought that? He really thought that?
I don't know if I thought it like that much, but I knew you were obviously there to see me. Um, but so after the meeting, I thought to myself that I needed to go introduce myself, say hi to her, and yeah, I really don't know if she was there for me or not, but
I
she was,
wasn't.
but she was there, and she was there by herself, and I thought I'm going to be a nice person and go over and just introduce myself.
What? Wait, no, elaborate, because I didn't come with my friend
Yeah,
that time.
yeah.
So then you thought what?
Well, I figured, she came to the meeting with her friend the first time, and then the second time she came by herself because she didn't want me to know that she was single, or she wanted me to think that she was single, and I didn't know if she was with that guy or not. I don't know. I had a lot of things going on in my head that were playing out that I don't think were real at
They were
all.
not.
Yeah, I don't think they were real.
So,
So, anyways, I walked up to her and introduced myself. Said, "Hey, you remember me from yesterday? You came up to me and said something to me," and we started talking. And the next thing, you spilled your coffee somehow. I don't know. You
yeah, on my
spilled it all
boot.
over your foot, and I mean that's just the type of person. First thing I thought was like, oh, so I went and grabbed a bunch of napkins and came over to clean up the ground, clean up her foot. Um, and I mean, that's just the type of person I am, and I guess that
Yeah,
stuck out to her.
well, because I was with somebody, in the past that it'd be beneath them to like wipe up spilled coffee or to help me with anything. So I don't know. It was just new to have somebody that would do that. And for context, I should probably preface this by saying I was intentionally not dating. I intentionally got rid of all of the people I had been talking to, because after I got sober, right around the time I got sober, it was just impressed upon me, like I need to give this part of my life completely away to God. And I don't know, I didn't do it. I didn't submit my love life to God because I wanted Him to bring me anybody. It was more like this area of my life has caused me so much pain and suffering. It is a complete distraction from not only my recovery, but what I feel is my purpose in life. I was spending time on dating apps and trying to keep up with conversations and all of that. And it was like, what is the point of this? Like, this is just a time consuming thing. And in the end, it amounts to nothing except for a waste of like where I could be placing my time, which is in more music or helping people with addiction or whatever. So while before I met him, I said, all right, God, here you go. I'm not doing nothing. I'm not going to engage in conversations. I'm not going to nothing physically. Like, this is it. Like, here you go. You have it. And what's interesting is I can't remember how long it was before I met Jay. This is after I submitted my love life to God. The Holy Spirit starts pressing in on me saying, make a video to your future husband. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I submitted my love life. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, I don't have any prospects. There's nobody, there's nothing. But he pressed it in on me so many times to do that. He's like, do a video to your future husband about what you hope he'll be like. And finally, like, I caved in and I did it. And it's just really interesting that I had done that, because it wasn't long after that I'd met Jay. And then I came to find out he had most of those traits and more of them developing now. But that was a side note. But yeah, when he spilled that coffee, or I spilled the coffee and he cleaned it up, not only did I think that was genuinely really kind, but then I caught like a real glimpse of his face. And like he wasn't just this person that I was trying to give a message to from God. I noticed, I was like, oh, dang, he'd be a boo bit handsome. He'd be a little thing, a little something. But then I immediately, like, shut down those feelings within myself, because I was really gung-ho about, like, no, I've given everything to God, even, well, I won't go into those details, but, yeah.
And, I mean, where I was at with my recovery, too, I kind of, I wasn't just looking for a relationship either. I mean, when I saw Shanda, she was beautiful, and that she just took my breath away when I first saw her. You really did. But, I, like she had said before, I had gone to rehab 3 times in 1 year, and I don't know if anyone has been in that kind of situation, but I was at a desperate time, to admit to yourself and to your kids and to your family that you keep failing when you promise that you're going to do better afterwards. It's just a horrible spot to be in, and I was in complete desperation mode with my sobriety, and I was doing whatever it took to stay sober, because I was going to get it this time. It was going to work, and I was going to do whatever it took to get it. Now, when Shanda came into the picture, that was just kind of a breath of fresh. It was something that I wasn't expecting, and so I was really, relieved when she was all about me, especially at the second meeting, and that really made me feel good.
That's so funny.
Yeah, but after the second meeting, I ended up looking her up online, but I found her page, but I didn't realize until later the following she has and all the things. I just saw her name. I think it might have been her personal page.
Yeah, I think it was
But I just, because I reached out. Yeah,
personal.
I messaged her, and I just told her, it was like it was really nice meeting you, which it was, and maybe we could hang out and go to a meeting, or go do, to go to a meeting or something like that, because the relationships I had in the past were always toxic, and I think that was my mindset too, is that this person is not only beautiful, but she's going to meetings and she's serious about recovery, and that's somebody that I would like to have in my life. I've never actually been in a relationship with anybody that was in recovery, and she could understand the things that I was going through. And I thought, at least, I mean, even if she wasn't into me like I knew she was, maybe I could get a good friendship out of this. Somebody that I could relate to and talk to about what was going on with my recovery. And so I looked her up online. I said, I met you twice now, and maybe we could go for coffee, or after the meeting or before the meeting or something like that. And that's how that started.
Well, then I said, "What's your passion in life?"
Yeah,
what are you passionate about in life?
She texted me like, "What are you passionate about?" It was just a very deep question, a question that people don't normally ask, and I think that's when it really dawned on me that she was a little different from other people. She was asking something very in depth. I've never been very introspective. I mean, I was forced to look at myself a little more when I was doing step work and things like that. But there was a lot of things internally that I never really looked at. So when she started asking questions like that, that's when it really sparked my interest as far as this. There's some depth to this person.
Well, I remember when the message came through, like the message request, and I can't remember what I said. I think I said, "Oh no," or something like that. Because like I knew when I caught a glimpse of him, that second time, like that I had some attraction to him, and then he was nice because he did the coffee stuff, and then I don't think I immediately looked through your Facebook pictures or anything. I think I just his profile picture at the time was like,
Oh,
somebody flexing, so I thought he's probably going to end up being a one of those guys,
yeah.
which I don't entertain, and yeah, so, but
Mm.
yeah, then I was like, well, I figure I'll throw him a question. What are you passionate about? Because I was interested to know if he was even worth being interested in.
Mhm.
I even before that, like I'm really really intentional about anybody that I have conversations with or get close to, and especially having the online platform if you're only from YouTube and you don't know, I've been on Facebook for years and have hundreds of thousands of people following me over there and, thousands of people just wanting to get in contact. So I've always been really, really intentional about who I communicate with and respond to. So I was kind of thinking, like, is he, does he have any depth at all? Like, what's this guy about?
Mhm.
Well, then what was it? Oh, yeah. Then the third meeting. I can't remember where it was, or we had started talking at that point, messaging back and forth on Facebook. Then we ended up seeing each other at the third meeting. I can't remember if it was the beginning or the end or which building it was in, but when I saw him, I had this vision clear as clear and cut as you can get. And to preface that, I've had visions all of my life of things that end up coming to pass. I mean, we're talking crazy stuff. That'll be a separate video of all the things I've had visions about. To give you an example, this house, I had a vision after I had come and seen this house that I'm in right now that I was pulling a U-Haul up into the driveway to it. Well, then after that, I get a call that this house had sold to somebody else. And I said to God, I said, but you showed me it so clearly. Like, that can't be possible. I know that that's my house. And the realtor's like, I'm really sorry, blah, blah, blah. Well, it was a hard time moving on from this house. And this house is not spectacular, by the way. Like, it is a total fixer-upper, but I just knew I had the vision. Well, then it was a couple weeks after, it was my old landlord's wife that happened to be the top realtor for whatever, and she ended up having this house as whatever that she was going to be a realtor for. And she said, I heard through the grapevine that you were interested in this particular house. The sale fell through because the people couldn't afford insurance or whatever. Do you still want it? And long story short, I got the house, but that's to give you an idea of the visions. Well, when I saw him standing at the end, like in my vision, at the end of a wedding aisle, and I saw myself walking up, like, to go marry him. And it was like, but and as soon as it happened, I said, God, like, what? What is this? Is this, what is this? Is this the case? And I hear as loud as day in my head a voice say Ephesians 5:25. Well, I had no idea what it was, so I picked up my phone to Google it, and the verse was about husbands loving their wives. So that really stuck with me, and we continued talking and getting closer. We started having phone calls every night.
Yeah,
How was that for you?
that was amazing. We had phone calls like every night for hours, and it wasn't your normal chit chat. I mean, we were talking about things that were really deep. Um, she was asking me about. You asked me a bunch of questions so that I could fill out like a personality
Yeah.
personality trait test or something like
Oh,
that,
yeah.
which was pretty cool. It gives you like a score or something and tells you what your personality is like.
Yeah.
And then we lined them up, and we were
Oh, I researched like unending research after I got your results.
yeah.
Like everything about
I remember feeling a couple times like it was an interview.
it kind of was 'cause,
Yeah.
like I don't waste my time, but
Yeah, no, it was. I thought it was really cool. It was really interesting. I mean, I was learning things about myself. You were asking me questions that I'd never really even thought about before, and yeah, I was quickly learning that you had a ton of depth to you, and it was great.
did that scare you?
Yeah, yeah, it did scare me. I really, really liked you, and we were having these really great conversations. And even if the relationship or whatever didn't work out, I was becoming very close to you. You were becoming a very close friend, if nothing else.
Hmm.
And I was starting to see how this could turn into something really serious, um, or not. Either way, it was scary. Yeah, it felt like a big
Yeah.
a big deal.
And you kind of wanted to hide yourself a little bit. I know in the beginning.
Yeah,
I'm sure, like,
yeah.
it's intense. I'm just a really, really intense person as it
Hmm.
is. And I know, like, I ask things that probably most people don't ask other people. So I'm
Hmm.
sure that that was
And I didn't want to
intimidating.
say the wrong thing, and yeah,
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
I get
Yeah,
that now.
yeah.
I get that now. We've done a lot of work together. He's shown me a lot about myself, and I've shown him a lot about himself,
Hmm.
and himself, his self. I don't know. Which one is it? Which one is it? But yeah, I don't know. For me, those conversations, especially me in the past, I used to operate like if I can get this amount of information about someone or something, then I can figure out how to navigate within certain parameters to keep myself safe. So I figured if I could learn all there was to expect about you, there's nothing you could do that was unexpected to harm me.
Hmm.
And so it was like the more, I mean, I'm talking, I researched for hours upon hours, like
Hmm.
things about how, just everything that I could figure out about you and
Yeah.
all the questions I could ask. Because, like, for me, relationships in the past have always been sinking sand. Like, there was
Hmm.
never anything certain. I had betrayal trauma before that. And
Hmm.
that's a whole separate thing that really twisted my brain. And if you haven't seen my testimony, it's the video, a couple of videos before this, it would give you context as to why I might operate that way. But
Hmm.
I thought if I knew everything there was to know about you, then you would be safe, and there's nothing that could pop up to hurt me. Found out later that
Yeah.
didn't work so well, but
And then we,
um,
yeah, no, no, through, I mean, if you can tell right now that Shanda's very cerebral and very thinks things out and plans things out.
mm,
And one thing we found out with those personality tests is that we complement each other very well.
mm,
Um, I go more by my feelings, whereas Shanda plans everything out and very cerebral, very researches, very extreme, whereas I'm not so much. But when we did that personality test, it was funny because you scored a certain number and I scored a certain number, and it said because we actually complimented each other very well, and we were very compatible.
yeah, it was the most
The
compatible.
most compatible,
Where
yeah.
his was like he's more fun and adventurous and sociable, but also thinks like is a thinking type of personality. And I'm
Hmm.
far more introverted. I get like laser focused in on one subject and have to know all there is to know about it.
Hmm.
And because of that, I help people reflect upon themselves
Hmm.
and like bring somebody who would normally be like a social butterfly into themselves to observe themselves to be able to change certain things. So like he brought me out of my shell and caused me to be
Hmm.
a little bit more
Yeah, and
social.
I can
And
be, as far as my focus goes, I get really into something, and then I'm like, oh yeah, and I'm all about it for a couple of weeks, and then
and
and then
then
I jump to something
next thing,
else, and then it's the next thing, and then the next thing.
Nami,
Yeah, so she helps to keep me on track or on with something,
grounded.
grounded. Yeah, yeah, very grounded, and I give you stability.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, he does. Cause yeah. Yeah, because I can go into worlds in my head and then cause them to feel extremely real, and then I can ruin things in reality because of those. And actually, that almost happened when we first began talking. We were at one meeting, and I don't know. I think it was all the previous stuff in my life before that. I just started thinking in my head like, I think he's probably looking at other people. Because it was a defense thing too, because I understood that I was connecting to him more emotionally and like I was starting to have real feelings, and that scared me. I started writing songs about it. I didn't like it. Like,
Hmm.
I didn't like it at all. And I think that's the reason God had to give us so many signs for us to get married, because I would have never done it. Was
Yeah.
there something you.
No, I just remember when that happened. I remember feeling your distance, like you disconnected from me at some
Oh, yeah.
point in there, and I couldn't figure out like what was going on. I had no idea. And then when you brought up that you thought I was looking at somebody else, it was just like so out of left field for me. But I think that's when I realized that you had, been burned in the past by other
Yeah, I
people.
was trying to find reasons to put up walls.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was
yeah.
that. And I remember after, yeah, so that whole meeting, I definitely disconnected, and I
Hmm.
started thinking, I gotta get rid of this guy. I can't be doing this, and I was finding all the reasons to justify that. And I mean, I'm telling you, I make
Hmm.
worlds up here, and I can really make them feel real to justify things I do. Well, then I ended up going home. We ended up talking on the phone. I opened up, which actually at that time was really unusual for me to be vulnerable like that and tell you
Hmm.
that,
Yeah.
because that's something I would never do.
Well, I'm glad you did because I had no clue what was going on.
Yeah, then he ended up explaining, that's not at all where I was at. And
Hmm.
I remember later that night thinking I could have just messed up something really good if this is from God, like the vision he gave me all over a world I wanted to create to keep myself safe. And that was
Hmm.
kind of a wake up call, like, Shanda, I think you have a pattern. Like you do things like this in order to create things to distance.
Yeah, and I'm crazy about Shanda. I always have been, and there's no
Love
way
you.
in the world I'd be looking at some other woman or anything. I love Shanda to
Yeah,
death, and that just wouldn't happen. That just would not happen. So you don't have to worry about that.
oh shucks, thanks. So yeah, that was going on. We're getting closer, and I kind of realized some point after that, like this is like he's getting into my soul a little bit, and I mean, I can't express how much I didn't like that at all. Like it took everything in me to allow myself to continue to get close to him. But and I think the reason I allowed that is because God gave me that vision. Well, then it gets to the point where I recognize there are some really serious feelings, and I said to God plainly, first thing, if he's not for me, you need to remove him out of my life completely. Like, if this is not of your will, remove him. And I had prayed this before in the past when I had met people. But if this is of your will, let nothing on earth or in heaven or any realm stand against this relationship. And then I said, but God, I need the most unusual, obscure, unexpected sign ever in like the world if he's really for me, because God, I'm gonna end up sabotaging that. I knew that about myself. I was writing poetry at the time. I didn't let you read. I've never let you read about like I don't I just knew I was gonna do it. I knew I
Yeah.
was gonna run away. I'm a runner, a track star. Actually, the one time I was just gonna dip out to Kentucky,
I
if
know.
you
Yeah,
remember that,
yeah.
right?
She told me that, and she was like, "Yeah, um, I was thinking about just going to Kentucky or something like that, and I didn't. I was gonna go to Kentucky last night, but I didn't, and I was like, what? You were like, without even saying anything, you were just gonna just be gone, and that was it. And yeah, that really, I don't know, kind of threw a wrench in at least in my thoughts. I thought we were really connecting, and I didn't know that she was having these sabotage thoughts or anything like that. So that kind of caught me off guard a
I'm
little bit.
sorry. I remember then I told him
No
about
big
that.
deal.
He ended
It's
up sharing
fine.
that. It really hurt his feelings,
Yep, it
and
only hurt a lot. No big deal.
I didn't know that, and like that could have made things not work out. You could have distanced too.
Hmm.
But anyways, I asked for that really unexpected sign because I knew it was coming if I didn't get more confirmation. And somebody asked me a couple days ago, why do you think God gave you this much confirmation for you guys to get married? And I said, because of me. Because he knew I wouldn't have done it, like he knew I would have destroyed this whole thing.
Hmm.
But anyways, after I ask him that, I hear clear as day again, like when especially during the time of getting to know Jay, like this is probably the loudest God had ever spoken to me. I'm talking like firm, stern, loud. He says, Scooby Doo. And as soon as he said that, I'm like, I don't know. I had a reaction to it like Scooby Doo. God, Okay, kids nowadays, my kids do not watch Scooby Doo. Like,
Hmm.
there is no circumstance on earth where I'm going to come across Scooby Doo. I don't know. I was thinking, like, I was talking to God like he wasn't the God of all things that couldn't cause that to happen. And I was thinking, so what, you just never want me to get confirmation for this? Like, you want to leave me in limbo, and you know all the feelings I'm having, and you know I'm going to sabotage this, and I'm afraid, and maybe I'll end up breathing. Who knows? You know, who knows what Shanda's going to do? But I got upset, actually, which is probably something I've never really shared. Like, I did. I was like, this is just what? But it was a couple days after that my little brother had come up to visit. He came to my grandma's house, and he lives 3.5 hours away. And for context, if you don't know, which you probably don't know, many of you don't know, my little brother is like the most put together, stern 80-year-old man in a 30-year-old man's body, like just real serious. Like, if you think I'm serious, meet him. He is serious. And he comes up to visit, and I think he had gotten out of the shower or whatever. I was there in the morning at my grandma's house, and he walks out of the back bedroom of her house wearing a Scooby-Doo graphic t-shirt. When he came up from the hallway and I saw him, I froze. He's walking up, he's saying, I can't believe my girlfriend packed this for me. Like, he was upset that she had packed him a Scooby-Doo shirt. I'm looking at him like, this can't even be happening right now. Like, of all the things. And there he was in that Scooby-Doo shirt. So I had to tell Jay.
Yeah, so she told me, and yeah, the Scooby-Doo thing. I shared it with my kids. You know, the relationship that Shanda and I it was really becoming serious for me as far as my feelings. You know, my feels were all in it. And so when she told me about the Scooby-Doo thing, I shared it with my kids, and my son said that he was at his girlfriend's house and there was a Scooby-Doo toy or something like that. I was like, "Are you sure it was Scooby-Doo?" He said, "Yeah, it was Scooby-Doo." He said, "That's crazy that you said that because that was very weird." And then my daughter was house sitting for somebody, and she said the same thing, that there was a Scooby-Doo toy at the house she was house sitting at. And I couldn't believe that Scooby-Doo was just popping up everywhere all of a sudden.
I gotta tell you something crazy. Today, this morning, when I dropped my kids off at school, there was a car in front of me in the kid drop-off line, and there's nothing other than a Scooby-Doo decal sticker on the back of their windshield, or on their back, whatever you call it, a windshield, back shield.
Yeah.
The glass. Yeah. It was there. And that's how I knew this was God's confirmation that we needed to record this. We had been talking about it, but...
Yeah. Yeah.
That
No,
was really
as soon as she showed me that, I was like, well, I guess today's the day that we do this.
Anyways, we forgot to mention that we had found out that we had the same exact sobriety date.
Yeah. Same exact date.
Yeah.
Yeah, 11/27.
23.
Yeah, 23.
Or 24. I'm not good with yours.
I can't
I'm really
remember.
not. Mine's different now. But
23.
Jay's,
Yeah,
you're going to
23.
be celebrating 2 years
Yeah.
here coming up. That's amazing. Well, anyways, so he was looking to get an apartment along with keeping his house that he had in a different area.
So I started looking for an apartment. I was going to go in between my house and the apartment. And the apartment I looked at was just exactly what I wanted. It was small, but it was in a good area. It was close to everything. And so I told Shanda that I found an apartment, and I told her the address, and she ended up telling her grandmother, and her grandmother said, oh my God, that's the same apartment that I raised your mother in."
Yep, it's wild. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember going to see that apartment with you. Well, initially he was going to get an apartment in Jamestown, and I said, there are so many drugs and all of that, and like you should really look at the surrounding areas. So he ended up getting an apartment in one of the surrounding areas, and it just was wild that was the apartment my grandma had raised my aunt and my mom in. So just finding that out was another synchronicity.
Of all the apartments that I could have looked at, that was the one that I got.
Yep.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Oh, church.
Yeah. I wanted to start hanging out, you know. We were going to meetings and everything was going really good. We were talking on the phone all the time, so I thought maybe we could hang out outside of meetings. And Shanda said, well, if you want to hang out, we should hang out at church. And I mean, I went to church when I was younger. My dad took me to church, and I did, Sunday school. So I had a little bit of a background with church. And my spirituality at that point was nil. I didn't feel like I had much of a purpose. and I needed to find something, some kind of spirituality to keep me going. So when she mentioned church, I was all in. I was like, okay, that'd be great. Yeah, we can hang out. We can go to church. And so she took me to the church that she was going to, and um, I was a little reluctant because I've been to church in the past, and it was always kind of boring to me. I tried to pay attention, but I just didn't really understand what they were talking about. But the pastor at this church really was, I mean, the way he was explaining things, and I love history, and he was relating the Bible historically to things that had happened with the Romans and with Jesus, and everything he was saying, it really hit me. And when we left there, I was thinking like this was great. Like I'm really getting something from this, and I think it's going to be really beneficial for me to keep coming to this church and really get into this. I think this is something that I've been missing in my life.
I had just come out of like the New Age and doing witchcraft and all the occult stuff not long before that, and got really on fire for Jesus. I had like this crazy experience. That's a separate experience to share. But I was thinking to myself, like, if I'm gonna be with this guy, like, I need to know whether or not he's about God, whether he's about Christ, you know. And if we can't grow spiritually together, that's a whole. I'll dip out too, you know. And again, at that time, my mindset was, well, I need to find the flaws in this so I can get out of this, you know, again, just out of fear and all that. So it was really good to know that he was not only open to going to church, but then after that service, he was talking about it like that was really awesome and this and
Yeah.
that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
well, if we want to keep hanging out, we'll just go to church on the weekends. And I think that I don't know that
Yeah.
that was a big thing for me to know that you'd be into God.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, my sobriety, like I said, was everything to me. I mean, I had to. My mentality is my sobriety comes first before anything, because if I lose my sobriety, then I lose everything. Anything I put before my sobriety, I will lose it. I first off, I have to be clean and sober, and then everything comes after that. And I've gone to meetings and things like that, and since my early 20s, I've gone to I've done everything when it comes to recovery that you could even think of up till that point, and nothing had worked for me. It would work for a little while, but I would end up using again. So this is an avenue that I knew I needed to go down. I needed to find a higher power of sorts. I grew up. My mom is Native. I grew up going to Longhouse, and I also grew up with my dad in the summers going to church. So I was familiar with both. Um, I just knew I needed to find some spirituality. I believed in a higher power. I believed in, I said either the creator or God. To me, it was the same thing. Um, but once we went to that church, I can't even emphasize how where that hit me in my soul. Like it got me deep, and things were just starting to click, and I started feeling. And another thing too is when I was went to rehab, there was a guy that would he would hit his knees and pray in the morning and at night before bed. And I remember when I saw him doing that, you know, I guess your fear when you pray like that is that people will like pick on you or see you as weak or something. But when I saw him doing that, I just had nothing but admiration for him, because he was doing something that took faith, took courage to do, and I wanted that. I wanted to. I needed something to get me back on track, because my will was not getting me anywhere but using. So I needed to pray to something, and it just the way she got me into church and everything, plus all the signs that were happening. It wasn't coincidence. Everything that was happening there was like a divine um, nature to it.
Order, yeah.
Order,
Well,
yeah.
what's interesting is somewhere around this time we were on the phone, as we always were every day for hours, and I ended up, I think it was like quite a while into one conversation. It's almost like something took me over and started speaking through me. I know that now to be God. But I remember when I started saying this particular thing, I was thinking to myself, why are you saying this? Like, this doesn't even sound like anything you would say. but I said, I'm going to be your mirror reflecting back to you all of the love that you give. And I remember being outside. I was in my grandma's driveway, like while I was saying that, and I'm like thinking to myself while it's coming out of my mouth, like, who's saying this? Why are you doing this? And I don't know. Then after that conversation, I was just reflecting, like, why would you,
Hmm.
like, what was that? You know, because at this point, it's getting more serious. I think we had said we loved each other, or you said you loved me first. Hang on, you got to share that after. But to finish this one, the next day I went to meet with my mentor, and his wife was there, and they're elderly people, had been married for like 50 years or probably 60 years at least.
Hmm.
Um, and after I think it was over an hour of them talking and mentoring me or whatever, he looks over at her. I think he took his glasses off. I don't know. But he starts pouring tears. He's looking directly at her, and he said, "She is my mirror, reflecting back to me all of the love that I have given." And like, poof. Well, then I freeze. I'm sitting across the room. I'm frozen, just looking at them and thinking now, like, I'm in the Matrix. Like, there's something very. I've always had kind of a split about reality, anyways. But just knowing that I had said that, I'm pretty sure it was the night before, and him saying verbatim the words that I had said, but I didn't even feel like it was me that was saying it while it was happening, and it was like all the more confirmation. But yeah, the anyway, that's another sign. But the love
Hmm.
thing, where were we? I think we were in the car when.
Um, well, when you said the mirror thing, that really kind of hit home for me because I've always had this fear that if I love somebody or give them all the love that I have, that I'm not going to receive that back. That at some point, either I've been burned too in the past. You know, there's infidelity and stuff like that. So I always felt like I had my guard up, and that's just the one thing I've always wanted. I wanted to be able to just pour all my love into somebody and not be afraid that they were going to give that to somebody else, that they would give that love back to me. So when she said the mirror thing, that really that struck me.
That makes sense now why God would have me say that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it
that
really
just
did.
clicked to me.
Yeah, it really did because I know in the past I would think that how great would it be that you could actually
Hmm.
I could love somebody and just give them all that love and they would give it right back to me.
That's funny how
Yeah,
he works
yeah, I know
then.
that really that when you said that it was kind of like wow, I'm crazy that you said that. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah, that's really cool.
yeah.
When did we say we love each other?
I don't know. You said that I said it first.
Yeah,
Okay, I probably did.
I know we were in the
I mean, I
car.
know I contemplate. I was really like, it was just I was struggling too with because of how fast everything was going.
Yeah, I was nervous about saying it to you, but I knew I'd loved you.
Yeah, I did too. I did too. I mean, all the conversations that we had, all the God signs that were happening. Um, it wasn't just like a normal relationship where you have everyone has those feelings where you feel like you're in love. This was something on a whole different level,
Hmm.
and I did feel kind of crazy saying it, but I knew it was true and it was real. So I did. I just told you. I don't know where we were. Were we in the car?
Yeah,
No.
we were in the
Oh,
car, and I
okay.
know I said it back. And then after
Yeah.
that, you remember all the conversations we would just talk about how we loved each other
Yep.
so much.
Yep. It was corny.
Thank God
It
it's
was
worked out.
so corny. Yep.
Thank God, because that'd be
I know.
embarrassing.
Yeah, that would
Jeez.
be. Yep.
But we should also probably preface I was celibate, and,
Mhm.
that was something I had committed to God when I told you I wasn't dating or anything like that. Down to, yeah, just anything that would be considered sexual at all was zero, like off limits, except for we kissed.
Yeah.
But, so we were not engaging in
Yeah.
activities.
And I don't know if she was nervous about telling me that or not, but she did.
Yeah, it
But
was a little bit.
yeah, she told me that, and I was fine with it because
Well, I don't know if I was nervous. I was just thinking
well, I don't know if I was
that
fine with it.
reveal your intentions.
but no, I mean, I didn't have expectations,
Mm.
Obviously, I thought about physical stuff like that, but I respected you and I loved you, and the way we were being connected with God and the way the signs were working.
Mhm.
I know that I mean, I know enough about Christianity that sex before marriage is wasn't the way to go, and also the way I didn't want anything to be ruined.
Yeah.
Everything was just going so well, so good, and I didn't want to muddy the water or um, somehow bring sin into this, and then we get sidetracked from our real purpose. And yeah, it just felt like if we're gonna do this, let's do it right. I was all in on that. I was all for being celibate, and that was fine with me. I just wanted to love you and make sure that this was really the right thing.
Well, I know that, yeah, like God designed that way for a reason, not to restrict us, but to protect us, right? Like, I mean, He designed one man and one woman for marriage, for life, and having sex with multiple different people in relationships, and then breaking up. It feels like a death. It Those are feelings God did not intend for someone to feel unless their spouse died. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
all of the heartache during a breakup, like it's because you're having sex and like you become one flesh, and then that flesh is ripped apart. Like that's the reason. You know what I mean? Like there's a holy union that or an unholy one that happens outside of marriage.
Yeah.
And I knew that, but I also knew that would completely convolute and complicate things.
Yeah.
Just outside of what I had spiritually committed to God, I knew that would take over my brain. I would almost like possess him. I don't know. Like I
Yeah.
know how I think of things, once that begins, and I knew I would no longer see him the same if that were to occur, and I didn't want any complications at all.
No, I had never thought about the sex before marriage and the whole meaning of it either. So when she was explaining that to me, I mean, it made so much sense. Like when you are in a relationship with somebody, and then you become physical like that, and then you break up. I mean, the feeling of a breakup is horrible,
Ugh.
and I don't feel like that was something that God intended. When you do become physical like that, you do become one flesh, and you have a soul tie. You're tied to that person in a way. So to be with multiple people and breaking up and just that, like, that's you're meant for one person, and once you become united, in marriage, that's when you consummate the marriage or whatever, and become one flesh. It just made so much sense to me. It really did. I never thought of it like that before.
Well, we had ended up. Thank you for that. I'm glad
Yeah.
we both understand now, especially not having had sex before marriage. Like now we see everything completely differently. It's weird, like because I'd never had that experience before. We had both been married in the past, and we didn't operate that way at that time.
Yeah.
But now we like. It's interesting how God shifted how we view everything because that's what we did. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
just how we view like relationships, and the world, and that's a separate topic. But we ended up having that conversation, and the next day we went to church in the morning, and the whole sermon was the pastor talking about how you don't invite sin into things that God has put together because it will destroy them. And we were talking about like the temptations we were going through, and that's why this conversation came up, like trying to curb temptation and just having those conversations about like we can't let any sin into this. And for him to verbatim say everything we were talking about the night before, just more and more. And I know there are a few other signs in here.
Yeah.
Our both our mentors ended up approving of our relationship, and normally in those types of programs they do not at all. So that was a massive thing. And all of our friends in our family, like nobody was objecting to our relationship,
Yeah.
which was huge because we were going, we were falling in love pretty quick.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
so that whole sermon, we were looking at each other like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
This is a lot.
Yeah, I remember leaving there and just all the signs that had happened before, and then the conversation we had the night before, and then the pastor, everything he was saying, it was like a checklist. I mean, with the things I used in the past, I used to be pretty paranoid. So if I was still using
Yeah.
it, I would have really thought like a camera was watching me all the time or something, because it was everything we were saying was, it was just coming to pass. And she mentioned the Matrix before, and I really felt like this was, like we were in the Matrix or something. It was crazy how everything was falling together. Um,
Wild.
yeah, but we left that, and I was just overcome by everything because I was so united with her, and we were on the same page about everything. We were talking for hours every night, and our personalities were lining up, and all the signs were, and I was overcome with this feeling, that I wanted to be with Shanda. I felt like this was right. Like there was all these things that were not just coincidence, and we were meant to be together. And I blurted it out. I didn't think, that morning when I got up to go to church, I didn't think I was gonna ask her to marry me. I wasn't thinking that at all. Um, but the Holy Spirit, something filled me, and I asked her to marry me as we left. We were in the car, and I asked her. I said, "Would you marry me?" And she said, I would. Yeah, I would. And I think she was thinking like
I
hypothetically.
was.
Yeah. And you were like, "Are you asking me?" I said, "Yeah, I am. Will you marry me?" And you said, "Of course." Yeah, you
Yeah,
said,
put the
"Yeah."
car in park. I couldn't believe what was happening. I was like,
Yeah, we grabbed each other
yeah,
and,
and then
and kissed and hugged. And I mean, we were both just ecstatic, just so we couldn't believe it. I mean, this is a crazy story. We'd known each other a month, but we both knew in our hearts that this was the right thing to do. I mean, even saying this is crazy. It took me a while to share that with other people.
yeah,
We're
all
almost
of us.
yeah, we're almost 2 years in now, and I think we feel a little more comfortable because we know um, this is for real. I mean, we knew it then, but it's
We
just
didn't think people would.
yeah, we didn't think people would accept it. They'd say, "Well, just wait a little bit," and see
We
how
have the
see how it turns out.
credibility of more time under our belt
Yeah,
now and
yeah,
spending every day together for the last almost 2 years.
yeah,
You know,
yep, yep.
and yeah, when he asked me, I don't know. I don't know that I've ever felt that much joy.
No, me either.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was amazing. Um, right afterwards, I mean, we were just hugging each other and just holding each other, and we couldn't believe it. We were so excited. I was just full of all this love, and then I realized I don't have a ring. Like I felt like such a douchebag because I don't have a ring. I wasn't prepared for this at all, and I told her that. I was like, "Oh my, I wasn't prepared for this. I don't have a ring for you."
Well,
And you said it was, that was fine. And I was like, this wasn't romantic by any means, like usually when people propose, they have all these flowers and they have all these things. But then again, I think the lack of romance was romantic.
mm,
The fact that I just did it that way. Um,
it was
yeah,
special.
it felt special.
Well, so after he said that and he's feeling bad, I was like, well, God. I said, why don't we ask God, I can't remember. Well, I know. I said, let's ask God for another sign just for the fun of it and to provide for a ring. And before I had said that, we started driving after he proposed, and we have a song that is like our song,
Yeah.
and it's called Nako, We Are on Time. And the one lyric started playing, nature has her signs and her clear affirmations that we are on time. And we both looked out the window, and above the driver's side window was a bald eagle flying around. Like this is right after the proposal,
Yeah.
right when the song said that. So that was wild. But I said, so let's pray to God about this. Just one more sign. And I said, because he's already, look how many he's given us. So prayed that. And then later I went to drive to my grandma's house to tell her I was going to get married. Like I was psyched, dude. I was telling everybody. It was just, man, I loved
was
you so
too.
much.
Yeah, me too.
I love you more now.
Yeah,
but
me too.
I loved you so much.
Me too.
And I go up to knock on my grandma's door or whatever. She opens the door and she's like, Shanda, hang on, come inside. I found something. Here, stick out your hand. So I'm like, what's she, I'm thinking I'm just going to tell her I'm getting married, like I'm excited. And I'm like, okay. And I stick out my hand and she comes back with this ring and puts it right on my wedding ring finger. Had like flowers or pearls on it or something. She said, I just found this while I was cleaning out. My great grandma had passed, cleaning out her stuff, and I found it on this shelf somewhere. I didn't think that there would be a ring there at all. And I'm just like looking at her like, I can't even believe that she just put a ring on my finger, because I'm just about to tell her that I'm getting married.
And I don't have a ring.
And we had just prayed that God would give another sign and provide for a ring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think I called you.
You called me and told me right after, and I was like, well, of course she did. Of course she did. I
Of
mean,
course.
yeah. Why wouldn't that happen? I mean, all these signs. Of course, she would just have a ring to put on your finger, and I don't have a ring for you. Yeah,
That was amazing.
it just makes sense.
Well, it's something else I forgot. My stepsister had a dream, like, well, we've been together almost 2 years, so it would have been 5, 6 years ago, something like that. She had a dream that I was married to a guy that was 5'10", who had hair to here. She said he was like stockier, and that he was really, really kind. And I remember years ago when she told me this, like, well, first, why are you telling me this? But second, like, she was saying how vivid it was, and it was really discouraging, because I said, I don't know anybody like that. Like, and then it just made me think, like, that's never going to happen for me or whatever. Well, when I met Jay, he had hair to there, and he's like around 5'10" and stockier, and one of the kindest people I know. So that's just another side note.
That was me. That's you
Yes.
talking it.
Yes, that's you.
me.
Yes, it was. I think that's a point. So, when did we get married?
We got married on March 1st. So that's coming up. That's coming up soon.
Yep.
Yep, we got married on March 1st. We did this out on a rock at Kinzua Dam. And
Like in the middle of the water.
it was like the most romantic thing. It was just me and you. We just did it ourselves.
Oh, tell them about the lyric about the bare feet and then what happened.
The bare feet. Oh, also our song "Nako," "We're on Time." There's a lyric in there that he talks about meet me in the street in your bare feet. Well, you didn't. Why did you take your shoes
okay.
off?
So where we got married, there was this rock in the dam, like the rock in the water or whatever. But to get to the rock, like I knew the location, you had to go like down this steep, rocky bank or whatever. Well, I had like these heels on, and that wasn't gonna happen. So I took the heels off. I was wearing this really pretty white dress, but I had to go down barefoot, so I got married in my bare feet standing on this rock.
Yeah.
And it's just funny that later on we noticed in our song, like, meet me in your bare feet.
Yeah, exactly. That was. We were talking. I think it was just the other day. I was like, wow. I was like, you weren't wearing any shoes when we got married, and that's in our song. Yeah.
Well, when we got married, we had written our vows to each other. We did what's called a Quaker wedding. So,
Yeah.
like, you didn't need a pastor or anything like that. You just needed witnesses or whatever to sign off. So we were reading our vows back and forth to each other, and just completely private, alone. We ended up having a public wedding 6 months later or something.
Something like that. Yeah. Yeah. We did a wedding here, but that was. I mean, I wouldn't have it any other way. That was just. It was just me and you, and we were saying our vows and before God, just on that rock. It was. Yeah. I'll remember
It
that
was
forever.
amazing.
It was beautiful. You were beautiful. It was
Oh,
great.
Shucks, thanks.
Yeah.
You were handsome.
Did I
of
look
course.
good? Yeah.
You looked very.
Did I? Okay,
Yes.
good,
Yes.
good.
The whole day was
Yeah.
great.
I remember my hair was flying in my face trying to.
So was mine. The wind was like crazy
Yeah.
and holding the paper and stuff. But
Yeah, it was great though.
you said it made me look good because the wind was blowing. I was
Yeah.
just like,
Yeah.
I was freezing too.
Yeah, it was a little
It was
little
cold,
cool out,
a little cold.
but it was great.
Yeah. So we've been married since March 1st of what is it? 2024.
2024.
Four.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Because
Okay.
it's 20. It'll
Okay,
be
yep.
2026.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we had a public wedding August
24th.
24th,
Yeah.
2024.
Yep.
So we
24,
did friends
24.
and family and all of that.
Yeah.
But since then, like, I don't know. It's interesting that so many people, like, it seems like they're miserable in their marriages. I know that I didn't have a lot of good examples, growing up, except for my great-grandparents of marriages that worked out. It's always kind of like that cliche, like the wife really just isn't interested in the husband anymore, he's despondent, he doesn't really help with anything, she's not interested physically, like, you
Hmm.
know, the whole typical dynamic. And for us, it couldn't be further
Yeah.
from how things are.
I think it's we communicate about everything. We communicate
Very
so
well.
well. We're together all the time, and we talk about our feelings and we talk about everything, and also our spirituality. You know, we pray a lot. We pray together. We're on the same page with everything. I can't stress communication enough.
And Jesus.
Yeah, in Jesus. But we're just always on the same page with everything. We
Mm-hmm.
communicate about everything. So neither of us, even if we have something come up, if I have any kind of resentment or anything come up, I'll talk to her about it. I won't hold on to it,
Mm-hmm.
which is something I used to do all the time. But yeah, Shanda's really allowed me to learn how to search inside myself and be introspective. I used to just, bury everything and
Stuff everything
stuff
inside.
everything down, yeah, like a garbage can, just keep stuffing it and stuffing it and stuffing it, and then all of a sudden I would just blow because I'd seem like I'm fine, but that nobody knew that everything was right here, and I've been able to unpack a lot of that stuff, and so things are a lot better than they used to be.
Well, it's interesting, when we were first married, I'm like, this guy never talks about anything he thinks or feels. Like,
Hmm.
we talked a lot on the phone, but like, so I remember it, that, like, it's a thing in our marriage. I ask him, what are you thinking? And I
Yeah.
ask you multiple times a day. And over time, he started, I'm sharing feelings. I'm like, oh, he actually has
Yeah.
feelings. And
Okay.
then, he discovered that his anger is secondary to, pain or fear. And
Hurt. Yep.
yeah, I mean, I've only seen you angry a few times, but
Yeah.
like, it's
Well, anger is
yeah.
a secondary emotion. It comes from being hurt by something.
Mm.
Yeah. So I think once I realized, like, why am I getting upset? Why am I getting angry? It's because I was hurt somewhere. And if I was hurt somewhere, then what was the cause of that? So yeah, that really helps a lot.
There's so much we have navigated through, like,
Hmm.
both of us realizing things about ourselves. And
Hmm.
we're really, really strong. We're on the same page about everything. Like,
Everything.
we're a united front. We
Yep.
are not like, I have my motives here, and then here's where we're unified, and then he has his motives there. Like, it's not like that at all.
Yeah.
Like, you get one of us, you're getting the other. You know,
Yep. Yep.
that's how we do life.
Yeah.
And Jesus is in the center of that. Like, God is the center.
Hmm.
We read the Bible, we pray, we're listening to spiritual things throughout the day. Like, he is the rock this marriage is built on. He's
Hmm.
the one that put it together.
Yeah. I think that's why things work so well with us because we're on the same page.
Yeah.
When they say when you get married, you're one flesh, and we really are. Everything we do is together, and we even the kids notice that there's no pining between. I'm gonna ask mom. I'm gonna ask Jay. It's we're on the same page. Like they know that we are a united front.
Yep.
Yeah.
No getting away with nothing.
Nope. Can't get away with it.
So, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I think one of the biggest lessons, I would say, or takeaways from this, that I feel important to impress upon you, is I think God gives you the desires of your heart when you hand over your desires to Him and say, you know what, God, I really wanted this thing. Like before, when I handed over relationships, the idea of marriage or whatever, I I wanted that in the past really, really, really bad. But I think God gave me Jay because he knew I was willing to completely hand over that desire and say, you know what, you take it, and if it's not your will for me to have it, then I won't pursue it myself. And I think it's because I submitted and surrendered that part of my life that he brought Jay in when he did.
Yeah, I agree with that. And on the recovery side of things, it's the same way. I wasn't able to get clean and sober and sustain it until I completely surrendered everything. I had to get better. I had to. I was desperate, and I knew that my will, the way I was running the show, the way I was doing things, got me to where I was, which was, this close to death. I was not doing very well, and until I submitted my life over, now I know it as God started following God's will. Now I feel free from that. I don't have the obsession to use anymore. I don't even think about it anymore, and it wasn't until I actually gave away and surrendered my will that I was able to gain that. And in turn, Shanda and I have a great marriage, and life is a lot better than it used to be, because I don't run the show anymore. I've given that up to God, and God's in charge. And when I follow what God lays out for me, things work. Things work very
Amen.
well. Yeah.
Amen.
Hmm.
Well, we'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, I think we did really well, right? I
Yes.
did good. Yeah, I put on my cologne. You probably can't smell it. I don't know why I did that.
For me?
No, for the podcast. I didn't think about it. Yeah.
Not for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you smell me.
Oh, good. All right, we finna yeet, as they say, which is we finna go,
Route.
which is we're going to go, but finna yeet is better.
Okay.
Okay, bye.
All right. Bye.